Welcome back to the Hockey Show, and today we are talking about, you should subscribe, I'm just saying. But anyways, we are talking about today the Utah Hockey Club and what they have done just recently today, as they have picked up two pretty solid defensemen. And are they starting, they said flat out when Ryan Smith bought this team that they want to start competing right away. And they have the good pieces to do it already that they've purchased from Arizona to bring to Utah, and they are loading up now in a couple of good trades, including the Lightning and the Devils. So let's talk about it. So the first trade, Mikhail Sergachev heading over to Utah in return for J.J. Moser, or his signing rights, and Connor Geekie, as well as a 7th and 2nd round pick. The 7th is for this year, which I think at this point he's already done with, and the 2nd round pick is for next year. So a good return for me, and I'm going to talk more about that in a second. And then the second trade, John Marino and a 5th round pick heading over to Utah, and Devils get a 2nd round pick in the 2024, which turns out to be Mikhail Yegorov, which is a really cool name, and a 2025 2nd round pick. So 2 seconds for John Marino. So let's talk about it for each team first. So let's start off with the Devils, just because it'll be the easiest one to get out of the way. So the Devils, fine return, I guess. John Marino was going to be moved out. They were dangling him around. I definitely think, combined with the other trade that they had today, that they're getting kind of swindled, especially the one with the Vegas Golden Knights. That video will be coming out soon as well. What the hell are the Devils doing right now? Like, they're just kind of throwing away pieces. Marino is a very fine defenseman, and for just 2 seconds, and one is just this Mikhail Yegorov, like, I don't know. I just feel like they could have definitely found a little bit of a better return for that. So for me, Devils, what are you doing? But that out of the way, John Marino to the Utah, like, that is a very solid move. I really like it, because the Coyotes moving over to Utah, they have a tremendous building block when it begins with the offense of the Coyotes. From Keller to Schmaltz, all the way down the line to like Barrett Hayton and Gunther's coming up, and Logan Cooley especially. And I could keep going on and on. Michelli, Lawson Krause. There is a lot to like about the Coyotes offense. It might not be explosive, right? But look at what they have. They have so much cap space, which kind of getting shrunk away right now, but they have so much cap space to go out there during free agency, bring in some sort of like really good goal scorer, bring in some offense, maybe make some trades. They have a ton of draft picks to trade away, and they have a really good offense. Goaltending, Ingram was a very solid goaltender, especially at the beginning half of the season, and defense was the issue. So they bring in John Marino on a very fair contract, 4.4 for 3 more years. They've got tons of cap space, easily can pay a guy like that. A very solid, just like stay-at-home defenseman, can play solid on both ends of the ice, but just a good, he's those defensemen that every team needs. Just those solid, realistically, using NHL terms, those, an 84, 83 overall, defenseman. Just, really solid, can fit anywhere in the lineup. Good move there, right? So, John Marino, Devils trade, absolutely fantastic. But the Lightning trade is where everyone is talking about. So, the Tampa Bay Lightning. This trade, to me, in defense of Julien Brisebois, I really like this for both sides. Mikhail Sergachev has truly, in my eyes, has proven that he can be at least a number 1 or 2 defenseman. And he's still pretty young. Well, not pretty young, I guess, but he definitely has still lots of life left him in the NHL. And being in the shadows of, Victor Hedman and Ryan McDonough all the time in the Tampa Bay system, and especially where Tampa Bay needs to go right now, he was definitely the best option to chop off his salary, right? 8.5 really might not be his best fit for where he belongs in the Tampa system. But for a place like Utah that really needs that great defenseman that can move the puck, is good on both, definitely a good two-way defenseman, can play each ends of the ice, can get some points on the board, but also plays very good in his own zone, has plenty of life left in him to be just a solid cornerstone in the background. Don't have to worry about him him going anywhere anytime soon. For me, Utah, this is a fantastic pickup. He's going to be the number one guy there with Valimaki and Sean Dursey now back there already. Like, to me, and then now John Marino, that is a solid top four. Dursey's going to get all the points on the board. Sergachev's going to be up there playing just a good two-way game. Like, they have got a lot of solid pieces here. Now, for me personally, J.J. Moser and everyone is going after Julian Brisebois for this trade. Everyone's like, what the hell is he thinking? Worst GM in history, or at least Tampa Bay history, I see people saying. And I'm like, no. I don't see it that way at all. I think Tampa Bay is in a position right now where they really are at the end of that opening to win the Stanley Cup. Like, they really need to bring in some outside agents and stuff, because a guy like Sergachev, that kind of contract really slows them down from, like, padding in those contracts like the Florida Panthers got with OEL and Kulikov. Like, they really, and whatever his stupid name is, right? I can't think of it, but to really, like, pad in, because they have Hedman, they have Chernak, right? They have those solid pieces still there, right? They now need some fillers, right? The Sergachev takes up way too much money, but with a guy like Moser, J.J. Moser, definitely an underrated defenseman. I've seen him in person a couple of times, watching him on TV a lot. Like, he is a very, very, very good defenseman. Very underrated. If he was anywhere but the Coyotes, and I guess now Tampa Bay, because Tampa doesn't get a lot of attention either, and is always, for some reason, very underrated, even when they win back-to-back Stanley Cups, but whatever. J.J. Moser, if he was on a team like Colorado, everyone would be just like they need to be buying new pants if he was on one of those teams. Every media outlet would be losing their mind saying, but J.J. Moser, though, they've got him. He's the X factor. It's like, no. But J.J. Moser, he's one of those very good defensemen. 26 points, -5 this year. Not that bad, especially on a team like the Coyotes. Last year he had 31 points. He's a very good two-way defenseman. He's one of those guys that I think is no one's going to ever pick up on, but when Tampa Bay's like in the playoffs and people like see him playing good and they're like, oh, that guy, like, look out for Moser now. That's how I kind of feel about him. And Connor Geekie, he's a stud. Absolute stud. What is he, like 6'5", 6'4", giant defenseman, giant forward, power forward. He's dominated the CHL. Unreal. And so for a team like Tampa Bay that knows that this current window is kind of closing and they're kind of letting the time like start growing still, because they still have Point and Kucherov are going to be around for a while, and Vasilevsky. Sure, guys like Stamkos and Hedman might be a little bit closer to start dwindling down, but Connor Geekies, right, when this team starts to slow down, things start to need to be retooling, he's going to be stepping into the lineup at that point, right? I think his time to get in the NHL would probably be in like 2-3 years to really make his big impact. Maybe break the system, like, no, he needs definitely a year in the AHL still. But maybe within like in 2 years, he like can really get in there, start making a name, and then in 2 years from now, or 3, I guess, then really start being in the NHL. And by that point, that's when a guy like Stamkos will be stepping down. They need that big power forward guy to slot into the top 6. So that's just, to me, it's a great return. And really, at the end of the day, what I have to say about all of these trades is that I'm a big fan of them. I think this is great for each and every one of them except the Devils. So I guess 2 out of 3. So for Utah, they get 2 amazing, but 2 really solid defensemen that they can fit in there with Dursey and Valimaki at this point, and Soderstrom's on his way up, which I'm a bit of an iffy guy and not the big believer in him, but Kolyono-Chuk they've got back there. They got a couple of options from the AHL to bring up, and they have tons of money to make another signing as well to like really pad in the defense. So right now, that's a solid top 4. Marino, Sergachev, Dursey, Valimaki. They got defensemen that can create points, and they have some good back end going on. And then up front, tons of good talent for forwards that are just going to get better and could get lit on fire. And a goaltender that's pretty solid too. So to me, I love the moves for Utah. For the Lightning, is this a loss for them? I don't know. I think this is kind of the move that they needed to make. They get a solid defenseman that can play in the NHL, absolutely, that no one ever really thinks about, who's going to play some very good minutes, and I think is going to shock a few people. Connor Geekie, as well, as a solid prospect, and 2 picks. Whatever. You never know what the hell picks are actually going to do. And then for the Devils, they're going through some stuff right now. I had a lot of hope for them like 2 days ago, and now I'm like, what is going on? But anyways, that's all I gotta say, I guess, for all this. So thank you for watching this. If you made it this far, please, I'm begging you, please subscribe. And until next time, too sweet, have an amazing day, and ta-ta for now.